Hey, folks. Welcome. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to try and keep it short, but it's going to be completely different for me. And that is due to the coronavirus and all the stuff that's going on, everybody's stuck at home. People that I know that go to church, and there's quite a few of them. I mean, my wife's a believer. She goes every Sunday and every Wednesday, and she hadn't gone in 2 weeks. And I know it's kind of making her nuts. But the people in the church there don't seem to be doing a whole lot, and I thought I'd try to start something. Don't know whether it'll work or not. What you need to know is in order to do what I'm about to do, what you need to do is prop up your phone, stick on the microphone, and commence to talking. Try to keep it short, sweet, and all that stuff. But I kind of think everybody needs something just to have a spiritual message. Now, I will admit that my wife and the church I go to is Pentecostal. If you're not familiar with Pentecostals, they're holy rollers. They get rowdy. They speak in tongues. They do all kinds of weird stuff. And I will have to admit that I'm not really a believer in that kind of stuff, but that's me. They most definitely are. But here's the thing that I want to do, and this applies to them. It applies to anybody. I'm going to do a little message here. And here's the question. All right, it starts with a question, and if you decide to do it, this is the question. When is that moment, whatever that moment is, when is that moment that you knew that the Spirit would work in your life? No doubts, no nothing. When is that moment? For a lot of people, that's happened in church. Not me. For a lot of people, it happens out in the wilderness. Now, I've had a lot of wilderness experiences where truly I feel the Spirit out in the world, just being out in the woods. Excuse me. So, that's where I find the Spirit far more than I do inside of a church. There you go. Coffee's fighting back. I don't know why. It's good coffee. And I delete that, but I want to do this with one shot because anybody else who's participating, I want you to be able to do it with your phone, with whatever. I grant you, I'm sitting here in front of my computer and I got the little camera and the microphone up here. Microphone's there, camera's there. Yeah. Anyway, when is that particular moment? Now, for me, it happened in a courtroom. Now, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert and tell you that I've never been to prison. I have been inside of a prison, but I always left the same day I walked in. So, that's cool. But let's give a little background here. When I was young, I was not, I repeat, not a upstanding citizen. The proper word for what I was is thieving junkie. I have roosters in case you don't know. But yeah, thieving junkie. That's exactly what I was. I wasn't nothing else. So, as happens to most thieving junkies, for the umpteenth time, that rooster knows I'm talking. For the umpteenth time, I went to jail. Now, I've been to jail. I couldn't tell you how many times. But this time, I went a lot more serious. I've been busted for possession, public intoxication. Got arrested for assault on an officer once, but that got dropped. There's one of them times when honesty paid off. I was in court, right? I was out and I was drunk. And I woke up in jail. That simple. I went to court on Monday morning, and the judge looks at me and read the charges, said, public intoxication and assault on an officer. He said, how do you plead? I said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I was drunk. I got no questions about that. I was drunk, but assault on an officer, I don't remember it, sir. He just looked at me, and he said, is the officer in the court? And then he went, well, I guess it's your lucky day, Mr. Ross. And he fined me for public intoxication, and I walked out. Honesty sometimes pays off. That was a pointless story. It has absolutely nothing to do with this. Still, I'm going to shoot this in one shot. So, anyway, I got busted. Big time. All right. In order to stay out of jail, and that's what I did, I went to rehab, Spent 30 days in a rehab center. To give you some idea of just how bad I was, and I'm not trying to say that I'm unique. You know, I go to church with people. I've been in programs. There's plenty of people done crazier stuff than I ever thought about doing. A lot of them are dead, but you know, still, some of them survived. But just to give you some idea how bad I was, I got to rehab, and I was sitting there in that little beginning thing where they're talking about, I got some woman there, she's saying, well, you can't shock me, I've heard it all, you know, but I'm going to go through a bunch of questions, and they're going through the 50 questions, and then she got to the question of, okay, now the last day you were using, what drugs did you use? And I sat there and I went, oh, well, I was smoking some pot, drinking some beer, ate a few Valium, smoked a lot more pot, and then we did a little cocaine, and we was out running, and then I did about, I don't know, 8 hits of Mr. Natural, and she went, oh, no, 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 honey, just the last day. I shocked her. So, I mean, that's kind of where I was at. And when I went to jail for stealing. I mean, straight up stealing. And let's see, 2 counts of burglary and receiving stolen property and, you know, all kinds of stuff. Went to rehab, did all that stuff. And I'd been through court. I was convicted. Completely guilty. I mean, I got no arguments there. This is when I was 23. So, you know, we're talking, sheesh, what are we talking? 40 years ago? Not quite 40 years ago. More than 35. So anyway, I went to court, 23 years old. I've been convicted. I've been sentenced to 2 years in the penitentiary, and I had a probation hearing. All right. 23 years old, I did not want to go to penitentiary. Scared to death of the penitentiary. And I was in court for a probation hearing, and my lawyer seemed to think he could probably get it, but he couldn't guarantee it. And he said, you might have to do 6 months. There I was. And I'm sitting in a courtroom, right? And I'm sitting there on the bench, and 23 years old, threatening to go to penitentiary, scared to death. Absolutely scared to death. And, you know, I can tell you about how many jailhouse prayers I've said in my life. If you're not familiar with jailhouse prayers, it's like, Lord, if you get me out of this time, I'll never do it again. And you get out of it, and you'll do it again. Yeah, I might have done that once or 20 times. So anyway, I'm sitting there in court. I got that in my head. And I started talking to the Spirit. I don't know. It's about all I can say is I was talking to the Spirit. I didn't know what to do. And while I was sitting there in the courtroom, looking at the judge, thinking about going to penitentiary, it dawned on me that God had no reason to do nothing for me. The Spirit, I don't like the word God, that's me. But the Spirit had no reason to do anything for me whatsoever. None. You know, it's also when it dawned on me that I figured out exactly why God has to do things for people. Are you ready? Here's the list. Yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. That's why Spirit should do stuff for you. But I was sitting there and I had nothing. I was trying to talk to the Spirit and I had nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was still talking to the Spirit and I was just like, I don't know. I give up. You know, whatever I got, I can do. I've been clean in for about, I don't know, 60, 90 days. Maybe more than that. Rehab, aftercare, all that stuff. But I'd been clean for a little bit. And that was kind of an unusual state of affairs. But I was sitting there talking to the Spirit, and I don't even know how to explain it. Because I went from a feeling of total fear to saying, I got nothing, Lord. or spirit, I got nothing to offer. I have got nothing. Just me. That's it. That's all I've got. I'll do the best I can. That's it. And when I said that, there was this moment, everything changed. I mean, there ain't no other way to say it. Everything changed. I had a feeling of complete peace wash over my entire body. I mean, I'm still sitting there in the courtroom. I'm waiting to get up there. You know, it's one of them fun things about court. Well, we're going to sit here for an hour and a half watching everybody else go to prison while we wait and find out whether or not we go. It's a fun place to be. Kind of like beating yourself in the toe with a hammer and then doing it again and again and again. But there I was. Total and complete peace. And it was not an audible voice, but this thing came to me. It's going to be okay. Not, you're not going to go to prison, everything's going to be fine. No, it's, you're going to be okay. Meaning me, I'm going to be okay. That feeling of total and complete peace. And about that time, well, a few minutes later, they called my name, and I walked up there, and you know how you do. And I'm standing there. I got a lawyer over here, and he says some stuff, and the judge says some stuff, and da-da-da-da-da, and what have you been doing? And I've been to rehab, and I've been this and that and the other. And he goes over and he asks the county agent there, or not the county agent, the county probation and parole officer in that county, you know, what he thought. And he pretty much said that I was anything but a child of God, and that in order to protect society, people like me needed to be in prison, and that 2 years wasn't enough. They should keep me forever. He's sitting there saying that stuff, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm not arguing. You know, I mean, you're right. I don't need to be on the streets if I'm going to keep doing what I was doing. I don't, you know. I couldn't argue. And at the same time, that peace and spirit was still there with me. And, okay. And then they went back up to the judge. And like I said, when I started, I ain't never been to prison. I got probated. I walked out the door. But that moment sitting in a courtroom, not in the church, not being preached at, not being da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That moment when I had nothing to give except me, and I said to the Spirit, that's it. I'm going to do the best I can. I give you what I got. My whole life changed. My whole life changed in an instant. Now, everybody's tried to convince me that I got to believe this, that, the other stuff. And I basically don't. But I know that there is a spirit that is larger, greater, controls the whole universe. Controls. I don't know about controls. It's in charge of the universe. Holds the universe together. I know that that spirit exists. I know that I am part of it. And I know that if I live in harmony with it to the best of my ability, I do all right in life. Now here it is 30 years later. Yeah, less than 40. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still okay. It's all good. So anyway, that's my experience. That's that moment. That's the time that I started to believe, and that's the time that I wanted to express. You know, and I'm all stuck at home and all that stuff, and I thought I'd share that because it might give somebody a little bit of hope, a little bit of something. You know, at that moment when you think there's nothing left, which is where I was at. I was going to penitentiary, and I was scared to death. The Spirit came to me and said, it'd be okay. Didn't say you're not going to penitentiary, just said you're going to be okay. And then I didn't go to penitentiary, and I'm still okay 30 some odd years later. I mean, I've had life's up and downs, and there's been good times and bad times and da-da-da-da. I mean, life goes on. But I've never been the same person. I've never been the same person. So, anyway, that's my little message. That's my, hopefully, message of hope. And, yeah. That took almost 15 minutes. So, anyway, my name's Mark. If you don't watch my YouTube channel, I'm just some old Kentucky homesteader, and I usually do homesteading videos and things like that. But today I thought I'd do a little something different. And like I said, hopefully there's other people out there in the world watch this, take the hint, post something like it. Like I said, you can do it with your phone. And I did it nonstop. There's some things I think, sometimes I like to edit stuff because like to burp. Nobody wants to watch me burp. But just so you know, you can do it too. It's not that big a deal. What's that moment? What's that exact moment when you knew the Spirit changed your whole life? That was mine. In the meantime, like I said, my name's Mark, just some old Kentucky homesteader. You have a very, very, very blessed day. And yeah, I always drink coffee.